them. Since we have high quality facilities, others can suffer for us.
Hurry up to apply, as we have limited slots available.
Entrance examination holds on 25th of March and 13th of May.
We are waiting for you to be part of NTIC.
My name is Chioma Ajunwa. Chioma Ajunwa is the first Nigerian and African black woman that was able to get the Olympic gold in long jump at the Atlanta 1996. I've been going to schools, and I think Nigerian Tulip International College is one of the best schools I've ever entered. And in the area of learning, I think they are superb. I give that school the kudos, and I equally appreciate the parents that were able to sacrifice that a lot to make sure that their children are in such a magnificent school.
We appreciate you, teachers, for molding our kids. As parents, we can never thank our teachers enough. I want to say congratulations to all the winners. Like I said earlier, all my kids are all winners of the participated one. We are now making this event a success. So to that extent, congratulations to all of us.
competition will be consisting of 3 rounds. The round 1 is the preliminary round, and then we have 26 schools here.
Together. T-O-G-E-T-H-E-R. Together.
Correct.
Bargain. Bargain. P-A-R-G-A-I-N. Bargain.
Correct.
Please pronounce the word again.
Little.
L-I-T-T-L-E. Little. Hospital. H-O-S-P-I-T-A-L. Hospital.
Correct.
My word is syllabus.
Good morning, our dear parents. Good morning, senior management team, NTIC, Abuja. It's a lovely event this morning. It's a lovely morning, and we're happy to have you here with us. Please, before we begin, can I please humbly ask us to move forward and fill the empty seats in front of us. We have some empty seats in front of us. Please, we want to crave your indulgence. Kindly move forward to fill the empty seats. We're starting right away. Thank you very much as we do that. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Have your seats honorably. Thank you, and thank you once again. Good morning once again. My name is Omotayo Rezak, and I will be the Master of Ceremony this morning. On behalf of the management, teachers of Nigerian Tulip International Colleges, I want to welcome you to today's event. And it is our belief and our hope that we're going to have a productive morning. And also, before we begin, we'd like to commit the event to the hands of God in both faith. So please, we welcome a volunteer for Muslim prayer and also a volunteer for the Christian prayer. For the Muslim prayer, we'll be having Mrs. Mariam Inowa. Please put your hands together for her as she makes her way upstage. And also for Christian prayer, we will be having Mr. Alu. Please put your hands together for him also as he makes his way upstage. You're welcome, sir. And also, kindly, let's be on our feet as we take the opening prayer this morning. Let's be on our feet, please.
Salala Nabil Karim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم إنك آمين من كل شيء وكل شيء لك منك وبأمنك كل شيء آمنا من يا حق يا الله يا رحمن يا ذو الجلال والإكرام يا ستار يا ستار أسني بسك الواقع الذي سترت بذاتك لا يدتراك ولا سلام حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. We recite Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. صراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to be here and the time we have to interact with those that have given their time and energy to help us to bring up our children the way they're doing. We thank you, Lord, so much for this privilege and opportunity, and I pray that our interaction here will be good and that we'll discuss things that would not only help to build our children, but will help us to know each other better. Thank you, dear Lord, for hearing our prayer this morning and for abiding with us through this program. In Jesus' name.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together this morning. Thank you very much. Please, also, we have one more activity to perform before we have our seats. I am sorry, this morning it will be a combination of physical exercise, mental exercise. So please, let's rise on our feet one more time. This is to pay respect to our country. And we will be taking the national anthem while we wait for the technical department. Let's be on our feet, standing at attention, while we take the national anthem. Please, let's put our hands together for ourselves. Thank you very much. You're welcome once again. You may have your seat. It's going to be an amazing session today as we have all gathered here to interact, share ideas, develop way forward on how to manage our children both in school and at the home as well. Now we welcome some of our parents. We have different parents from different schools. NTIC has been blessed to have vast number of parents in different campuses in Abuja. So please, when I mention the campus where your children or your child is, I'd like you to wave while the rest of us appreciate their presence with an applause. If your parents at Nigerian Tulip International College, co-ed, Wuse, please signify. Let's put our hands together. Thank you very much. You're welcome, ma. Thank you for making time for us this morning. If you have your children or your child at NTIC boys section, please signify. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together. You're welcome. Thank you. If you have your child or your children at NTIC girls section, wow. Amazing. Oh, mommy has both in boys and girls. Thank you very much. You're welcome. If you have your children or your child NTIC Cambridge School. Cambridge School? Okay. Oh, we have in Cambridge School. You're welcome. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presence. Also, NTIC Wuse Primary. If you're here, you have your child or your children, welcome. Thank you very much. And also, NTIC Asokoro Nigerian Primary School. Oh, we have them over there. You're welcome. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presence. We know that we all have our busy schedules, and it is out of love, concern for what we do, that you have made out time to be here this morning. So we want to say once again, welcome this morning. Now, before we go into the opening remarks, I'd like to appreciate the presence of our senior management team as well. You know, if you have a structure that has been working over the years, things has been happening, results has been produced. You know, it is not just the effort of the building. The building can just be the building. The people are NTIC. Now, the people also have a dream and a vision they have been pursuing. The vision has been drafted and brought out by a set of people that are making sure that this vision is being achieved, and the progress and the result that we see every year is also consistent. So please, as I mentioned their names, I'd like you to please give them a round of applause to appreciate their efforts and their contribution to the success of NTIC in general. First on my list is the Managing Director, in person of Mr. Fezula Bilgin. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much, sir. Also, we have the Director, NTIC Abuja, in person of Mr. Fatin Keskin. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here this morning, sir. Also, we have the Managing Director of Surat Education Limited, Mr. Haji Temes. Is he here? Let's put our hands together in absentia. Also, we have the Senior Administrator and Board Member of NTIC Schools, Mr. Kamil Toure. Thank you very much. Put your hands together. Thank you very much. Also, we have the Head of Guidance and Counseling Department, Mr. Tashkin Demir. Is he here this morning? Let's put our hands together in absentia. I'm very sure he will join us before we begin. As well, we have in our midst the Head of Guidance and Counseling, NTIC Schools, Mr. Hakan Tokdemir. You're welcome this morning. And also we have the principals of our various campuses. Those that are present here will also signify themselves. Co-ed, NTIC co-ed, the principal of NTIC co-ed, we have Mr. Remzi. Is he here this morning? Please appreciate him. Thank you for coming. Also, we have the principal of NTIC Boys Section, Mr. Fatih. Is he here this morning? Please put your hands together in absentia. Oh, is he? Mr. Fatih, are you here? Okay, he will join us in a bit. As well, we have the principal of NTIC Girls Section, Mr. Fevzi. Pardon me if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Mr. Fevzi, is he here? Okay, thank you very much. It's just right behind us. Thank you very much. Also, we have the principal, Cambridge School, Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed here this morning. Let's put our hands together for him in absentia. We have principal NTIC Wuse Primary, Mr. Fatih. Is Mr. Fatih here? Yes. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you. And also, we have the principal of NTIC Asokoro Primary, who happens to be the head of principals in NTIC Primary, Mr. Emre Demirki. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here as well. And also to all our teachers, all the contributors that are here this morning. Let's put our hands together for ourselves for being here. It's a pleasure to have us this morning. Now, we want to make this event as timely as possible because we understand that we have our various schedules. So we will be keeping to time, and we will be having fun as well as we're learning. Join me as I welcome to the podium to give us the opening address the Managing Director, Mr. Fezula Bilgin. Put your hands together as he makes his way upstage. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Senior administrators, principals, distinguished parents, precious teachers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I welcome you to our Parents Conference on Parenting in Digital Age. Today, we will be discussing about the challenges and opportunities that come with raising children in a world that is increasingly dominated by technology, in particular internet and computer. As parents, we know that technology is an integral part of our children's lives, and it can offer a lot of benefits as well as challenges. Some of the benefits can be like having access to information, communication, and entertainment. And however, it also presents some challenges like cyberbullying, online safety, and screen addiction. The technology is everywhere. Even I'm using the microphone and you're looking at the screen, we are using it. Last week, I took my children to a restaurant, a waffle shop, and in that restaurant, when we asked for menu, the servants, they told us that we should Google in with the barcode that is on the table. And if I did not have the internet, the mobile phone, I was not able to have access to the menu from that shop. So everywhere, when you want to be employed, when you want to do your job, when you look for information, so internet is everywhere. It is an indispensable part of our lives. It can be a big help for us, but it can be also a big challenge for us. As parents, we must navigate through digital landscape to ensure that our children are healthy and they are safe and they are thriving and developing. So in this conference, we are going to be hearing different experts who are going to be sharing their insights and strategies on how to balance the benefits and risks of technology, how to create healthy digital habits, and also how to foster positive relationships in the digital world. So when we forget about checking what the children are really looking at the mobile phones with the internet, so we might be really shocked and surprised. So on the other hand, they are coming and telling us that they need this to do their homework and to do this and to do that. And the children at the age of 1, 2, starting from these ages, they are always bombarded with, they are surrounded by mobile phone. When we go home as parents, when we sit down and relax, the children mostly see us holding our mobile phones, looking at the internet and surfing on the internet. So this is giving the idea to the children that it is really something that they need to do. They imitate the parents, and unfortunately, if we are unaware of some of the challenges, some of the threats and the dangers that the internet is posing, so the children can really be affected and damaged immensely. So that is why we need to know what kind of tools and tips that we can use to protect our children against those dangers from the digital world. So we hope that today you will find this conference informative, engaging, and inspiring, and you will be equipped with some of the practical tips and tools that will help you navigate, that will help you and your children navigate the digital world together. Thank you very much. Let's enjoy the presentation.
Let's put our hands together. Please put your hands together once again. Thank you very much for that short, precise, and educative speech. Now, we all will agree with the managing director that things has changed from the way you, our parents, knew things to be while growing up. You know, back then in school, I can say for my own, and I know if I am saying this as mine, it means your own experience is far much older and richer than what we also experienced. But you know, back then we didn't have smartphones, no laptops. The only place you get to see a computer is if your school is fortunate enough to have a computer department, or if there is a cyber cafe near you. So we were not as close to information, as engrossed with social media and the internet, the way the kids these days are. So it becomes a challenge when a child that has seen so many things, watched so many things, and then comes to you to challenge an idea you're bringing up. And you'll be like, really? Even as teachers, we have some challenges in dealing with children because they have more time to explore the internet than we do. not to mention our parents that are just being introduced to some technological terms, some innovations that these children are already a master of. So today is going to be an interesting one. We will balance our expectations and our duties in managing our children using digital technology. Next on our agenda this morning, we'll be having a little entertainment by watching some video slides of activities that our children has done. Now, we know that we are always informed of any event or activity, but it's also good to sit down and take a glance at some of the things these children has done in the past. Some events, some activities, to also see that we're not just building our children educationally, we're not building them to have cognitive skills alone, but also to have social skills. So if the technical department is ready, we'll sit back and watch a few video slides of what our children can do aside multiplication and division. Technical department, please.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami.
Please put your hands together for the entire team of NTIC Abuja. That is wonderful. Now, it shows you that we are a community here. It is not just the classroom management alone. It is a fusion of teachers, non-teaching staff, pupils, and all the management team in the building. So it is a very lovely thing to see this morning, and we want to appreciate our teachers and our parents and pupils once more. Please put your hands together once again for yourselves this morning. All right, now, in as much as we are here to learn, we're also here to engage ourselves. So we will jump right into a section that will be a bit challenging for us. But then it is good to have challenges, because if there are no challenges, there won't be victory. So this morning, I will be putting out some questions to our parents in form of brain teasers. So I'd like us to listen very well. You know, we used to tell our kids that, you got 29 in maths? When I was in school, it is 100 over 100. So we're going to put our mathematical skill to test this morning, our analytics skills to test as well. So please listen very well. I'm going to read out the brain teaser, and I will go round. I know if I ask for volunteers, no one, okay, thank you very much, Ms. Omon. No one would volunteer, so I'm going to apply my teaching skills. One of the methodologies of teaching is brainstorming. So we're going to use brainstorming this morning. So please listen very well. For those that got 100 over 100 in English and in maths in primary school. A doctor and a bus driver are both in love with the same woman. I'll repeat that. A doctor and a bus driver are both in love with the same woman. An attractive girl named Sarah. I hope nobody has a Sarah here. Okay. The bus driver had to go on a long bus trip that would last a week. Before he left, he gave Sarah 7 apples. I'll take that again. The bus driver had to go on a long bus trip that would last a week. Before he left, he gave Sarah 7 apples. Why? Why did the bus driver give Sarah 7 apples? Okay, we have a volunteer over there. Please kindly tell us your name and then you answer the question. Thank you very much, ma'am.
My name is Ukamaka Ukoha.
Okay.
He gave the Sarah 7 apples because an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So the doctor
Wow.
has to be away for 7 days.
Please put your hands together for our mommy over there. Correct answer. He gave Sarah 7 apples because an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I'm very sure we can do the mathematics in our head. Thank you very much. Now we'll go one more round. Please listen attentively. I left my campsite and hiked south for 3 miles. I left my campsite and hiked south for 3 miles. Then I turned east and hiked for 3 miles again. I then turned north and hiked for 3 miles. At which time I came upon a bear inside my tent, eating my food. What color was the bear? I'll take that again. I left my campsite and hiked south for 3 miles. Then I turned east and hiked for 3 miles. I then turned north and hiked for 3 miles, at which time I came upon a bear inside my tent, eating my food. What color was the bear? Any volunteer? Aha. Should I apply my teaching skills? Very tricky. Okay, I'll take another one. I'll give a grace period and take another one. A tip. Well, this is a formative assessment, and there are no tips in a formative assessment. Jerry, I love the deliberation. This is what happens in the regular classroom. Are there any volunteers to answer? Okay, let me just say the answer. Okay?
I think the answer is white, because when you headed north, not pole, I don't know, beer. You said beer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for him. The answer is white, since the only place you can do that is the North Pole. And polar bears are the only kind of bears that live there. Please, a round of applause once more for our parents over there. Thank you very much. We'll have the last one, and then we'll proceed with our events this morning. Now, you can see how challenging it can be. Please listen attentively. A woman shoots her husband. Then she holds him underwater for over 5 minutes. Finally, she hangs him. But 5 minutes later, they both go out together and enjoy a wonderful dinner together. How is this possible? I'll take it again. A woman shoots her husband. Then she holds him underwater for over 5 minutes. Finally, she hangs him. But 5 minutes later, they both go out together for a wonderful dinner together. How is this possible? Okay, we have a volunteer.
Photograph of him.
Can you come again, please?
She took a photograph of her
She
husband.
took a photograph. Please put our hands together for our parents over there. That's wonderful, critical thinking. Thank you very much. She took a photograph. Now, the woman was a photographer. She shot a picture of her husband, developed it, and hung it up to dry. Please, let's put our hands together for ourselves this morning. This proves that we are all smart parents, and we are also giving birth to smart children. Thank you very much. Now, proceeding to the next item on our agenda this morning is the main business why we are here. I'd like to appeal to us to take notes, be attentive, and ready to ask questions, because this is going to be something that we have not, either we haven't heard or we have heard and does not know how to apply, the information we will be listening to or getting from our guest speaker this morning. So please, join me as I welcome to the podium our guest speaker in person of Mr. Popoola Paul. He is the team lead of HL Educational Consult Limited. Please put your hands together as Mr. Popoola Paul makes his way. Welcome.
Technical. Very much, Mr. MC. Please a round of applause for the MC for the job. A round of applause to all of our parents. As a matter of fact, I must confess that the turnout I was actually expecting today is not what I'm seeing at the moment. It's quite overwhelming, it's quite encouraging, and at the same time, it's quite inspiring. Parents, please, can you put your hands together for yourselves? I would love to start by first appreciating the management of NTIC for putting up this together. I want to say this is a laudable initiative. As a matter of fact, if there's anything we need in this age and time, is nothing but constant education of parents. And I think what we're actually doing will go a long way to help parents navigate some of the pitfalls, some of the challenges, some of the difficulties of parenting a child in this age and time, especially in the 21st century. I'm not going to take much of our time. I'm just going to be sharing tips with us. However, before I get started, I want us to see just a video or two, and I'm going to commence my presentation. Please, studio, can you help me with any of those videos you actually have on the system?
I wonder if he knows that's in violation of the dress code.
Speaking of which, how about we lose the bow tie?
Why?
Look around, honey. None of the other kids are wearing one.
Well, perhaps I'll start a fad.
No, you won't. Please trust Mommy. All right, tell you what. You take it off, and this week
Vaulting.
Right. This is your homeroom. Do you want me to go in with you?
No, although I could have used you in the restroom.
Okay, well, you have a good day, and I'll pick you up after school, same door we came in.
Are you crying or having an allergy attack?
Allergies.
It's probably the ammonia.
Probably.
Okay, let the learning begin.
And so the square of sine plus cosine equals 1. Sheldon.
I don't want to embarrass you, so I'm going to give you a moment to think about what you just said. Ms. McElroy?
What?
I'm wondering if you read the book you assigned to us, because I did.
20 laps.
Cooper?
If you're going to ask us to run, don't you think you should lead by example?
So you're saying he's being rude to his teachers?
That's unacceptable. I'll give him a talking to. I don't know if I'd call him rude.
Well, put a word on it.
Rude. Let's go with rude. Rude is good. So what do you want us to do? I want you to consider another approach to his education. Okay?
What does that mean?
I recently had a nice chat with the head of Wilmot Academy for Gifted Children. Now, I told her all about Sheldon, and she seemed to think he would be a perfect fit over there.
We already looked into private school. We can't afford it.
Not unless you're giving me a raise. I'm not.
Okay, just checking.
But I can tell you this. Wilmot has been known to give children like Sheldon full scholarships. Take a look at that.
My goodness.
No kidding. Now, just read up on it. Give it some thought.
Hold on. This place is in Dallas. That's 3 hours away.
Well, yeah, but what they do in cases like yours, they look for a local family for him to live with in George. Dallas? Dallas is certainly close enough that he can come home on the weekends.
Look, we appreciate you going to bat for him, but he's just a wee little thing. We can't ship him off to Dallas.
Shouldn't we talk about this first?
What's there to talk about, George?
This could be a great opportunity for Sheldon.
He's 9 years old.
Oh, come on. You can't measure him in Earth years.
You're saying he's an alien?
Well, in George's defense, that idea's been tossed around a little bit. That's a bad joke. Look, I understand this is a big decision. If you change your mind, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to set up an interview.
Hey, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you all are the aliens.
3 plus 3? Really?
I beg your pardon?
What kind of school is this anyway?
It's the kind of school where students don't speak without permission.
All right, but everyone knows it's 6.
Barry, can you stand up, please? Stand on up. Stand up, babe. These questions are for you because you're so advanced. What is 9 plus 8?
17.
Yeah, yes, it is. That's good. What is 15 plus 17?
32.
Yeah, that is right. All right, then. Well, what is 57 plus 130?
192.
Yeah. Can you tell me what 57 multiplied by 135 is? Okay.
Who can tell me what? 7,695. The square root is 87.7. And change. Now what does ad nauseum mean?
I have a very strange kid.
I have 27 strange kids.
It's stupid, please, can you pause? Now, the reason why I actually had to show us this video, the theme for this workshop is parenting in the digital age. And if you want to actually see or actually want to have a preview of what a child in a digital age looks like, is nothing but Sheldon and the girl who just finished singing. Start by saying that one of the most seamless tasks is to bring a child into this world. However, parenting that child is not only an uphill task, but a difficult and at the same time a challenging task. I want to say today that majority of the problems we're actually having today in our society is nothing but parental failure in bringing a child even the right way in which it's supposed to be. So for the sake of this session, we're just going to be looking at some tips. We're going to be looking at some ideas, some techniques in which we can actually use to help our children become morally upright and at the same time make them actually make us proud in the nearest future. I want to start by saying also that parenting a child in the 21st century, especially in a digital age. Can I have my PowerPoint slide, please? In parenting a child in a digital age, it's very critical for us as parents that old doors cannot open new, old ways cannot open new doors. I might just have to make use of this then. All right, as I was saying, in parenting a child in the digital age, there are essential skills, there are ideas and tips we need to actually know in order for us to be successful at parenting. I want to say, according to Van Toffler, who once said that the greatest illiterate in the 21st century are those who cannot learn, those who cannot relearn, and those who cannot unlearn. So it is very critical for us to know as parents, if we actually parent our children the way we were actually parented, then we're going to actually create a gap that we will not be able to actually fix. So it is very critical for us to actually know as parents that old doors or old ways cannot open new doors. So one thing I actually want to start with is our society is actually falling apart. Our society is actually failing. And we can actually go around blaming the government, blaming the academic institution, but one critical factor or one integral part we need to actually take to heart is the family. I believe so much that whatever issues or whatever problems we actually have as societal problems today actually emanated from the family. Every child you actually see out there with one behavioral issues or the other actually came from a family. So it is very critical for us to know that as parents, we need to actually learn new ways. And I appreciate what the management of NTIC is actually doing today to actually educate us on how we can actually go about parenting our children or our child in the 21st century. Before we actually look at parenting in a digital age, it is very critical for us to, let us do a quick reminder of what parenting is. Like I said in my opening statement, that if there's anything I actually see around today is, it's a lot easier for parents to actually give birth to children, but when it comes to parenting, that is where the challenge is. So I want to quickly define what parenting is. Parenting actually has so many definitions, it is quite relative, but one definition I love so much is fulfilling parental responsibilities. In other words, parenting actually goes beyond you just facilitating the growth of a child from childhood into adulthood. It goes beyond you just taking care or meeting the needs of the child, but more important, and an aspect that has actually been left open, is fulfilling what I call parental responsibility. It is very critical for you to know that parenting goes beyond you just paying a child's school fees. And you will agree with me as parents, if there's any problem we actually have with parents who are millennials and the Gen Zs who are about to be parents, the challenge is
most parents actually view parenting as just meeting the child's basic needs. Now, as long as we actually don't see parenting from a larger scope or a larger perspective, the gap will continue to actually exist. So, to keep it in proper perspective, parenting has to do with you fulfilling parental responsibilities in order for you to actually raise morally and upright human beings. And also I want to say to us that one of those things in which we're going to be taking away from this conference is, what are some of those responsibilities? What are the roles in which you and I are supposed to play? And I want to say this: without parental support, without parental partnership with the school, whatever effort the school actually puts in ensuring that your children or your child become who you intend him or her to be becomes impossible. Because when it comes to raising a child, it actually involves both the school and also it involves the parent. So it is very critical for us to know there are certain responsibilities we need to actually fulfill, and at the same time, the school also has its own responsibility. So as we actually have on the next slide, please, as we actually have on the slide, old ways will not open new doors. I always say this to teachers. I say this to parents whenever I actually have the opportunity to speak to parents, to speak to teachers. If we actually raise today's children the way we were raised, we'll continue to actually be at loggerheads with them. We will not be able to actually achieve a sync. Why? The age and the time is different. So the big question here is this: how do we actually go about parenting a digital child in the 21st century? There are approaches, there are techniques, and if you actually will agree with me, for some of us who have been trying to actually raise our children the way we were raised, we'll constantly say words like, during our own days. How many of us remember words like that? If you were in the days of my mother. No, the days of your mother is gone. Your own generation is different. So for us to actually try to raise today's children is to put a square peg in a round hole. It won't work, it won't fit. The next is, whatever societal problems we're actually having today, and if you actually ask me, we actually have a lot of issues. And one question I always ask is this: for every child who we see out there with one form of act, with one form of attribute that's not encouraging, with one form of behavioral issues, that child actually came from a home. Teachers will agree with me that they see all manner of behavioral issues in the classroom. True or false, teachers? All manner of behavioral issues. And the question you actually ask is, some teachers don't say this loud, they keep it within themselves, and they ask questions like, does this child really have a parent? Because you actually ask yourself, if this child really actually has a parent, this child's life will be better than what it is. Now, this is the task, these are some of the challenges teachers actually face on a daily basis. So, when we look at societal problems, the only way we can actually fix the problem in our society is when we actually go to the family unit. As someone rightly said, if you want to fix society problem or societal problems, you actually go to the family unit. If you can actually fix the family problems, then we'll be able to fix societal problems. I was discussing with someone, and someone said to me, the person said to me, he said, what is the problem of this generation? And I actually answered by saying, the problem of every generation is the generation behind them. Case in point, what are the generation behind saying to them? In what way, in what approach or manner are they actually bringing up the present generation? So for us to actually fix whatever mess, whatever problems we actually have in our society, like I say, if we can actually fix parenting, we'll go a long way to fix a whole lot of issues. So family is very critical, That is the only way we can actually fix societal problem. Next, please. The next thing I actually want to talk about is this. When it comes to fixing behavioral issues as it pertains to children, teenagers, I have actually met with a lot of parents. Some parents have actually lost hope when it comes to raising their kids. As a matter of fact, some parents are actually helpless. What some parents actually do is merely hope and wish that things will actually change. May I say this to us as parents and also as teachers? Wishing and hoping will never fix some of the parental lapses we have in our homes. I always say this also, that wishing and hoping are not strategies in fixing parental problem or in fixing any problem in life. So, in order for us to actually begin to actually get parenting right, in order for us to actually start doing the right things, we need to actually become more intentional. We need to become more deliberate. We need to actually put in a lot of effort. And I always say this, that life will always be a fight for territory. Fight for territory in what sense? You've got to keep on fighting. Why? If you don't fight for your children in turning out or becoming who you actually intend them to be, what you don't want them to be will automatically take over. And I say to people, you've got to fight for your health. You've got to fight for your finance. You've got to fight for your profession or your career. The same thing also goes with parenting. You've got to fight for your children. And how do you actually do this? You actually do this by being intentional. I want to say this to us. In order for us to get it right as parents in the 21st century, in a digital age like this, we need to actually do something. We need to do more than parenting. We need to become more deliberate. We need to become more intentional. Now, I always say this, if there's anything I see today in parenting, it's what I call irresponsibility. Now, I am speaking from the perspective of a counselor. I'm speaking from a perspective of a teacher. I'm speaking from the perspective of a psychologist. Most parents are highly irresponsible when it comes to raising their kids or raising their child in this age and time. Have you realized that the average parent in this age and time has actually delegated parenting to school, forgetting that the sole purpose or the aim of school is to educate, while the job of parent is to actually parent. So the question here is this: if parents actually leave parenting to school, how well do you actually expect the teachers to actually get pronounced results, to actually do better than what they are doing at the present moment? I believe so much that our children will actually turn out well, they'll become better, they will make us more happier if parents are actually playing their own roles. Teachers, do you agree with me? If you want to clap, clap. So, when it comes to parenting, we need to stay strong. The truth is this, I must share this with you, most parents have actually given up. Now, it's easy to deal with kids when they are in the grade school, when they're in the nursery school, but once your child becomes a teenager, that's another world. And most parents are actually interfaced with, many of them have actually given up. Why? They've lost their children. They've lost hope. But what I want to say to you this morning is, whatever the challenge, whatever the situation might be, there is still hope. You've got to stay strong and you've got to keep fighting to ensure that your child becomes who you actually want him to be. Next, please. Now that we've actually looked at parenting in the digital age actually requires a lot of balance. The truth is this: there's nothing we can actually do about this age and time in which our children have actually found themselves. Every day, every moment, our children are being bombarded with a lot of information. Just like the MD read in a speech, that the digital age actually comes with an opportunity, and also it actually has its own demerit also. whichsoever way our children actually choose, that is what is going to become of them. But the question here is this: how do we actually ensure that we eat and strike the balance at the end of the day? Now, we live in an age and time when social media, a lot of devices are actually at the beck and calls of us children. There's nothing we can do about this. There's nothing they can do about it. But I say to you as parents, what role are you going to play? What is actually required of you to ensure there is actually a balance? Because if we do not strike or eat a balance, we're going to see the other side of the digital age. Case in point, we have a lot of issues that actually emanates, that actually crops out as a result of digitalization. For example, pornography, homosexuality. You can keep on naming all of these devices, all of these vices, and the question here is this: as a parent, hoping and wishing that your child will actually change when the time actually comes, it won't work. And that was why I said earlier on that you've got to fight it. Now, how do we actually go about balancing our children in a digital age like this? Because if we do not know how to actually go about this, the effect of social media, the effect of the age in which they are in at the moment will actually swallow them. How many of you know that the next addiction to cocaine is the social media, is your phone? And you know what? Once a child is addicted to the phone, to some of these devices, it makes it very impossible for the child to actually maintain focus in school. And I always say this to parents: what are you doing to actually ensure that you create a balance? Most parents are very careless. And I always say this also, that we actually use our money to actually buy things that will actually destroy the lives of our children. And this is what most parents actually engage. I went to a home in the East to actually greet a family, and something actually happened. The boy was celebrating his birthday, and I'm not phone driven. And he said to the dad asked him, "What phone do you want? I mean, what do you want for your birthday?" And he said, "iPhone Pro or iPhone Max. One of these." And the father said, "Really? What do you need it for?" He said, "Every of my classmates has one." Ask me the question, what class is this boy? Grade 5. We can actually complain that the teachers are not doing enough. But I ask you another question. Where did his classmates get money to buy those phones? Who actually got the phones for them? Who got the phones for them? Their parents. So, if we continue all in the name of socialization, trying to please our children, what we're going to do is we're going to actually destroy them. And most parents, out of carelessness, we get some of these devices, some of these digital tools for our children without us taking steps to actually know what they are doing. So very quickly, how do we actually ensure we actually nurture safe, balanced, and connected world? Like I said, they are being bombarded on daily basis with all manner of junks. Case in point, I was with a head teacher in one of my schools, and the parent, talking about parental irresponsibility also, parents not taking full charge or full control of what they are supposed to do at home. And a parent called the head teacher and said to her, you know what she did? She actually recorded the videos of the children's room, and after recording the video, sent the video to this head teacher, and guess what her comment was? So she said that if the school is doing enough in teaching the children responsibility, that the children's room will not be like that. And I'm like, when has the school taken up the responsibility of cleaning up rooms? Now, if you actually ask me, what roles are parents playing in this age and time to actually ensure that their kids actually become responsible? So the first thing I actually want to say to us is, despite the fact that we are in the digital age and there's nothing we can do about it, they are actually addicted, they are attracted to some of these things that are actually online. Your job, your role is to actually create a balance. Now, many of us, we are not too addicted the way these kids are actually addicted simply because we are digital immigrants. Your kids are called digital natives. They came to meet it. You and I are immigrants. Immigrants in what sense? We immigrated into this world. So the question here is this: you can't say because you are an immigrant, you're not going to be interested with what is actually happening in the digital age. So very quickly, let's begin to actually look at some of the things we need to do to actually ensure we create a balance. Next, please. Now, like I've said, if you look at this triangle, if we can actually live by this principle, by ensuring that we redefine roles. Roles in what sense? The home, the school, and the child. Parents, let me share this with us. The school cannot actually play all of the responsibility in bringing up a total child. If there's anything I've noticed parents want in this age and time is a total child. But they've abdicated the responsibilities to teachers. Remember I said, the job of the school is to educate. Your job is to parent. The school cannot parent. So, you need to actually know that there is actually a collaboration, a role play, there's actually a synergy between the home and actually the school in order for you to actually raise a total child. Next, please. The first thing I actually want to say here is this. Monkey see. Can you complete that for me? I can hear that. Now, if we must actually create a balance, it has to start with you. How many of you have gone to homes where mother is with a phone, father, a phone, the kids with their gadgets? That is where it actually starts from. Now, if you are not able to actually put what I call a regulation, and something I actually know about children is this: the best message you can preach to your children is a good example. As a parent, you cannot be on your phone for 24 hours and expect your children. And guess what? Remember, you bought the phones for them. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, never allowed any of his children to make use or to own a phone, not until they were 17. Can you think about this? He created those phones, the phones you're using, but he never allowed any of his kids to make use of those phones, not until they were 16 or 17. Now, there are exceptions. There's nothing wrong with your kids actually owning a phone. But the question is, how do you actually create this balance? Because if we don't actually create this balance... Now, let me share something with us. Do you know a 2-year-old child is already addicted to the phone? Now, I quite appreciate the fact that we have a large percentage of mothers here, right? But you agree with me that your phone is not just your phone alone. True or false? You are a co-owner. The real owners are actually what? They are home. So the question here is this: how do you actually regulate this? Now, I was speaking to someone, and she told me a 2-year-old child, you know, she was constantly buying data. And before you know it, the data is exhausted, and she buys another one. She didn't know that her 2-year-old daughter, whenever she's asleep, opens the phone, and guess what actually happens? Play games till like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I said to her, how? She said she was sleeping one day. She pretended as if she was sleeping. The daughter also slept. While she thought she had slept, picked up the phone, she woke up, she now said, oh, so you mean you're the one that have been exhausting and wasting my data? Let me share this with you, parents. The kids in the digital age are well smarter than you. So if you don't actually put measures in place, and it starts with us, it starts with you. If all you do is to actually stay glued to your phones, there is no how you actually expect your children not to stay glued to their own gadgets. Next, please. The next thing also is we need to actually set rules. Like I said, there are exceptions. If your kids will actually have a screen time, it should be a privilege. It should be a reward system. Let there be rules. Now, the reason why I'm actually saying let there be rules is simply if there are no rules, there is going to be abuse in your homes. Your kids are going to abuse some of these devices. And it's very critical for us to know that where there are no rules, anything is actually bound to happen. So, what rules do you actually have in place as it regards screen time? When should your kids actually have access to your phones? I say to parents, if a child has not performed or done certain chores, certain homework, certain school tasks, now we can actually use these as a motivational techniques in order for us to actually create balance. Yours could actually be weekends. Now, the addiction with screen time is mind-blowing, is overwhelming, and if nothing is actually done to actually control this, it's going to become a problem. And that is why most teachers are struggling in school. Why? Because parents are home. Now, let me tell you how the mind works. Once a child is actually addicted to the screen, whatever the teacher is actually saying, if there's no screen to actually go with what the teacher is saying, that child becomes blank. So we got to actually take measures. Hoping and wishing that things will actually change will not make the difference. So we need to actually put measures. We need to actually monitor what our kids are doing. So there must be rules regarding phones, screen time, and all the gadgets in which they actually have access to. Next, please. The next thing I actually want to talk about is parental involvement. Like I said earlier, most parents are merely meeting the needs of their children, but when it comes to involvement, most parents are actually absent. I counsel lots of teenagers, and my heart actually bleeds whenever I actually hear what some of these children actually say to me. Just last week, I was with some teenagers who actually got into trouble in one of my schools, and we got talking. What some of them said to me, their parents must never hear it. And you know why? Most parents are not involved academically, socially, emotionally, in all spheres. Case in point, I asked some SS2 students to write about their father. And a brilliant girl wrote just 2 lines. And I said to her, Aisha, you're brilliant, you're better than this. Why did you just give me 2 lines? I said, sir, if I write anything other than what I've written, I'm going to be lying. And I said, why? I don't know my father. I don't know my father in a literal sense, meaning I know nothing about him. And I ask you this question, parents, do your children know you? How involved are you in their lives? Mind you, research has it that parents who are actively involved in the academics of their children, those children actually develop what I call better self-esteem. They are well balanced academically, socially, and emotionally. Now, the reason why many of us exhibit certain traits. Now, research also has it that 80% of parents are actually fighting for acceptance, whether in the workplace, whether in the family, in the society, we're all fighting for acceptance. And you know why? Someone said that although we might be true with our past is not true with us yet. In other words, most of the battles we're fighting as adults are nothing but childhood battles. How do I mean? Now, once a child does not have an adequate self-esteem, that child will actually seek it somewhere else. So the question here is this: how do you get involved in the life of your children? It's very critical. Because we're talking about the digital age, involvement is critical, involvement is vital. As a matter of fact, it plays an integral role. So in what ways do we actually get involved in the lives of our children? Please let me say this again. Paying DSTV subscription regularly, paying school fees, buying uniforms, going to KFC once in a while does not or is not synonymous with involvement. Most parents only have a house, but they don't have a home. And that is the way most children actually view their parents. So how do we actually become more involved in the lives of our children? Number one. Next, please. Homework. This is one area teachers actually struggle with. True or false, teachers? Now, if you look at it, the first three kids in every class, first position, second position, or third position, go and check it. Their parents are actively involved in the academics. True or false? And most times, all we do as parents or all we do as a family is to actually blame the child. The child is not doing well. And I ask you, the parents, how well are you involved? We see situations where teachers or the school actually give assignments to children, and the child comes back home with the assignment the same way it was given to him or her. The question is, how do you actually put this together? What are we teaching our children? Even if you cannot be around, have someone who can actually play that role. Be involved. As little as the homework might be, it makes a whole lot of difference. It gives the child confidence that my parents is actually involved. Now, children who actually struggle in school, in most cases, the home input is little or nothing to write home about. So for us to get it right, for us to actually be on the right path, we need to actually be involved. As little as this might be, we need to actually be there. And I want to say this to us: we need to actually fight this. However we want to go about this, you've got to create the time. We're going to be talking about time shortly. Next, please, very quickly, because of our time. You need to actually understand the psychology of your children. Most parents have given birth to children they don't know. And most children actually have parents they don't know. What an irony. Most children or most parents know nothing about their children. And I ask you this question: if you're called upon from the school or from anywhere that your child actually did something or committed an act, what will your reaction be? First thing first, is it going to be in agreement? Or is it going to be in denial? How well do you know your child? Most parents don't know their kids. And that is why, have you discovered that parents who don't talk to their children lose their children? And let me share this with us as parents. If there is no open communication with your children or with your child, that child will actually seek for approval somewhere else. Now we talk about peer pressure as one of the biggest problems we're actually having our children, especially teenagers. The question is this: in my study, on my research with teenagers want to talk. Please note this: what children or what your children don't talk about, they act about. You've got to understand their psychology. You've got to know their emotional state per time. And let me share this with us as parents. If we don't actually engage in what I call conversation with our children, they begin to accept acceptance from the outside. And please note this: if you don't talk and affirm the potentials, the qualities, the greatness in your children, whatever is being said to them outside becomes their reality. So we need to actually do more by listening to them, understanding their psychology. Now, I ask you this question: how many parents actually know the learning styles of their students? Learning styles of their children. How many parents know the temperament of their children? How many parents actually go the extra mile to know whether their children actually have crush or crushes? How many of you, that is actually the new buzzword in schools now? Yes. So we've got to talk to them. There's got to be open communication. Now, we're all too busy. Please note this: whatever time you do not create for your children today, you will not find the time later in life. They won't give you that time. So we've got to understand their psychology. You've got to know their feeling when your child is happy, when your child is not happy. Please, we cannot just assume that while you were growing up, nobody gave a damn about you. It can't work for these guys. There's got to be a new approach. There's got to be a new technique. There's got to be a new strategy in order for us to actually win and ensure that they actually become who we actually wanted to become. Next, please. The next thing is family core values. I always ask parents this: if your parents brought you up the way you're bringing up your own child now, how would your life be? It's actually a question for us to ponder on. I'll come again. If our parents actually brought us up the way we're actually bringing up this current generation, how would our lives be? The reason why many of us are who we are today is nothing but what? Family core values. What core values are you imparting? Are you actually ensuring that your children are actually internalizing? Now, why is this very critical? It is very critical because your children are not going to be with you forever. It is the values they've imbibed, the value you've inculcated in them that they will live with. So in other words, if a child does not have value systems before he or she leaves your roof, that child will become valueless when he actually gets into the society. So I said to you, what core values? I'm going to share a very short story with us. A friend of mine back then in our university days, Timmy, is his name. Now, in a bid to actually feel among, in a bid to actually be one of the top guys on campus, he was actually patronized by one of the court boys. And guess what? He was being lured to come and join this particular group. And they promised him, and they asked him, look around for any girl on campus you want. Once you're a member of this fraternity, you're going to have the girl. And the day for the initiation was set. As they were about going into the bush to carry out the initiation process, guess what actually happened? They were owning. The cars were packed. TB, come outside. It's time to go. As he was about leaving his room, guess what? I don't know how it actually happened. He had a voice in him Before going to school, his mom said to him, Timmy, remember the child of who you are. Do not let go of everything. Everything was actually coming alive in him. And guess what? It stood still. The guy said, you're not serious, we're going. That was what actually prevented my friend from joining. So I said to you, one of the best gifts you can give to your child, core family values. If we don't have this in place, please, it's something we need to actually do. Now, in raising a total child, it doesn't just happen like that. Nothing just happens by happenstance. We've got to make it work. And the next thing we got to do is, next please. The next thing we got to do is parents meeting. Please, can we put our hands together, parents, for actually being a part of this? Now, to me, this is actually different. If you're going to leave this conference with just one line, with just one word, with just one advice, I think it's good enough. It's worth your time. And please, whenever conferences like these are actually called upon, or other meetings, they are crucial, they are important. I believe so much we could actually get or derive a lot of values, a lot of benefits for such meetings. And one thing it actually does to our children is it makes them feel proud that we are involved with their lives. And you know what? Once your child actually knows that you are involved, you're interested in him or her. Please, let me share this with us also. Parental involvement is not necessarily, like I said, providing for all of the needs. No, it's just one part. If the other part does not actually meet up, your children know, and they can actually decipher at the end of the day. So it is critical for us to actually put some of these things in use. Next, please. Other ways in which we actually get involved is, please, I beg you, watch what your children are watching. Parental carelessness has actually led most kids into what they are in today. Addiction, whether to drugs, to some form of unhealthy acts or habits, it's carelessness. Your children are watching TV. What are they watching? Do you censor what they watch? Now, if you don't censor what your children are actually watching, if you don't actually monitor this, at the end of the day, they actually imbibe some of this value. So I ask you again, do you watch what your children are watching on TV? Some of us might say, what about cartoons? It's not all cartoons that your children should watch. There are cartoons, there are programs that are actually promoting homosexuality in disguise. And most parents don't know this. And that is why you need to be actively involved. If I actually ask some of us, what is your child's favorite program? You mentioned 3 or 4, or, you don't know. So you've got to make effort to actually watch what they are watching. Even on their phones, on their devices. Do you know the site in which your children actually visit? Because if we actually don't do this, we're going to give them that liberty. And guess what? Once we actually give our children the liberty in which they are not supposed to have now, it becomes dangerous for them in the future. So it is very critical for us to watch what they are watching. Next, please. Please, like I said earlier, we need to actually know what our children are actually going through. We need to actually know what they're actually facing. We actually have a problem in our society today. What is the problem? Have you discovered that billions of dollars have actually been spent on the Girls' Child Initiative, the Girls' Child Act, and what have you? So much. Now, I have this because of those of us who actually are boys. Maybe in the next parenting conference, we might actually look at another topic on bring back our boys. Parents, let me share something with us. We have actually spent so much time in raising our girls and making our boys useless. If you want to clap, clap. case in point, let's make this more personal. In our homes, what do? We give the girls what? Special privileges at the expense of the boys. Forgetting that when we finish raising the girls, these same boys will marry them. Now, can you see what is actually happening in our society today? Teachers, if I'm wrong, please prove me wrong. In every class, you will discover something. The first position, in most cases, they are girls. Something is happening. The girls will take over. And guess what will actually happen? They won't marry boys. You know why? Most boys the boys don't want to go to school. Now, there are courses now that you before now you don't find girls. But now you actually find more boys. A friend of mine went for the convocation of ceremony of his daughter at Nile University, and the daughter went in for architecture. And out of about 20-something students, you only have 2 boys. Everybody girls. And the question is, how? You know why? The boys are becoming more irresponsible. Why? Girls are becoming more responsible. So, please, I want to share this with us. Whatever we can actually do to raise our boys also is worth it in order for us to make them responsible in the future. So we got to talk to boys also, not just the girls. Next, please. As we begin to round this session up, how do we begin to actually raise positive children in a negative world? You agree with me, we live in a negative world. And just parenting alone is not going to do this. Wishing and hoping, as I earlier mentioned, will not do this alone. We've got to do more. We've got to actually ensure that we become more positive. Now, let me share this with us. Someone said that train your child so well with family values because they are going to encounter other children who don't have values. Should I come again? Why should you actually imbibe values in your children? Why should you actually go the extra mile to actually ensure that your children become morally upright? Why should they actually go with your signature, with who you are? Most of us are responsible parents. The question is this: what do we need to do to actually ensure that our children actually carry on from where we are or from where we actually stop? We've got to do this simply because they are going to encounter other children who don't have values. And let me share this with you. The average teenager is easily influenced. Majority of the teenage problem or the teenage crisis we actually have today is simply because of influence and pressure. So you've got to do so much. We live in a negative world. Is it possible? Yes. The question is, how do we go about this? How to begin to drum home the curtain. Next, please. In order for you to raise positive kids in a negative world, please, let me give us a simple task. What do we have on the screen? Time. We live in an ever busy world. Parents, wherever we're going to get this, you've got to get this. The problem why we actually have parental problems is time. And if you do not invest the time now, there is no way you're going to reap from that which you actually extend or intend your children to actually become. Now, what are our children yearning for in a digital age like this, where they are being encumbered, when they are being bombarded, where they are being pressured with a lot of things? What do they need from us? They don't need much. The only thing they're actually asking for is what? Is time. Now, let me quickly talk about teenagers a bit before I get off the stage. I've actually interfaced with them. And it will shock you to know that most teenagers don't trust their parents. And if you get to the level in which your child cannot talk to you, they talk to somebody else out there. Now, I was counseling a girl who was always getting into trouble. And you know what she said to me? She said, the reason why I actually do this every time in school is simply because I want the school to report me to my parent. It's deliberate. You know why? The mom is a doctor. The dad is also a surgeon. Nobody has the time. So, I'm going to call for the attention. So when the school actually calls, that's the only time they sit her down. What is wrong with you? What is the issue? And all of that. She's always getting into trouble. And nobody actually knows this. The teachers keep on detaining her. They keep on disciplining her. But at the end of the day, they're not getting any form of result. And when I said to her, you can trust me. Whatever you share with me, I'm not going to share with anybody. And she started telling me, stop. My mother is never there for me. Should I shock you? A girl actually got pregnant, GSS 3. And you know why she got pregnant? She told me. Said, I did this to get back at my parents. They have never been there. Shocking, right? You say what? It's wrong? It's totally wrong. But now we must actually understand the psychology of a teenager. Now, time will not permit me to actually make us see the phases of development in a teenager from the ages of 10 to 11, 12 to 13, 13 to 14, like that. Now, the reason of the break, now, a teenager wants to talk. And you will agree with me, it is we parents that actually want our voices to be heard the most. True or false? True. For a teenager in this digital age, it won't work. She said that she wants to get at them. It is wrong, but they don't think that way. She is actually, now, does she have a fully developed mind? No. She doesn't know the consequences. She is just thinking of now, what I want now. She's not thinking of the adverse effect. Now, you see all manner of behavioral issues in school. Our kids act. Now, let me share something. For those of us who are always and constantly having issues with our teenagers, I ask you this question. Have you sat down to actually ask yourself this question? Why is my child behaving like this? It will shock you when you actually sit down, spend quality time with her. As a matter of fact, when we leave this place and you go back home, especially for those of us who have not been given ample time, you go back to your child, you say, okay, can we talk? Some of them will look at you. What happened to mommy? What did NTIC, what did they do to her? Are you sure mommy is all right? I've never gotten an attention like this before. Now, they want to talk. I was counseling a girl 2 weeks ago in one of my schools in the East, and I had headache. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. She just want to talk. And I said to her, Nicole, do you mind if we actually reschedule for tomorrow? She said, sir, I want to talk more. I said, Nicole, there are other people waiting. Now, they want to talk. You know why? At home, mommy doesn't let Nicole talk. Nicole said to me, I want to be a writer. Mommy said no. She seized my books. And I said to her, what genre do you write about? She said, I write about love. I said, maybe that's one of the reasons why mommy actually took the book. She said, but she should have told me what she actually wants me to write instead of stay. Now, they want to express themselves. Children in the digital age are expressive. It is you during your age and time. Your parents said, sit down there, and you sit down there. For them, it won't work. The average 3-year-old or 4-year-old, you say to her, I have kids. You ask my kids to go and do something, guess what? They will ask you why. In communicating or in achieving this, it requires time. Whatever it will take, if it's going to be 5 minutes daily, I tell you it's worth it. It could make a whole lot of difference with them. Now, some of them are going through bullying. Some of them are going through a lot of things in which, now, have you looked at the suicide rate? It's crazy. You know why? These guys don't have anybody to talk to. The average teenager is now. I was counseling a girl also, Rejoice. I know what she said to me. The moment she walked into my office, and I said to her, I said, Rejoice, you know what I can see in you? I have a special ability, and my abilities are when I see great people, I recognize them. You have greatness in you. You've got boundless potentials. You are special. You are unique. You are great. I see you becoming a star. I see you becoming, as I was saying those words, she was crying. And I said to her, why are you crying? She said, nobody has ever said this to me before. And she said to me, another reason why I'm crying is, I think every other person around me is better than me. So I said to you, one of your tasks, one of your roles is to affirm the greatness in your children. If you do not tell your children who they are, others are going to tell them who they are not. And that is where societal pressure, peer pressure actually comes upon them. Next, please. Please, you've got to pay the price. We've got to be willing to actually pay the price. Our parents actually pay the price. We also must actually ensure that we actually pay the price. And how do we pay the price? I've talked about that. It involves you becoming more deliberate. It goes beyond just parenting, but rather being practically involved in their lives. Next, please. I'll be closing with this. How many of us want our children to be positive? Everybody. Even though you're not raising up your hand, I can read your mind. You want your kids to be positive. But guess what? Only positive parents can beget positive children. Now, I said earlier that the best message is a good example. What example are you leaving behind for your children? You want your children to be truthful? It's got to show in every area of your life. You can't be speaking on phone. You're at home and someone calls you and you said, I am on my way or I am there. Your child is actually listening. There is no way you can actually justify truthfulness. We see all manner of dressing. Parents dress anyhow. And we expect our children to be modest in their dressing? No way, it won't work. Monkey see, monkey do. If we actually want our children to be hardworking, you've got to show it also. If we actually want them to actually ensure that they don't spend all of their time on social media, I can't imagine what this generation has actually turned to. Mother on TikTok. Children, TikTok. Snapchat. As a matter of fact, you see some parents actually dress, they shake their body, and the children are also on the same TikTok. So when the child is actually shaking also, what moral justification do you actually have to correct that child? So positive parenting actually begins with you. It starts from you. If you want your child to actually be accommodating, it starts with you also. How accommodating are you? Now, those of us who actually have little children. Now, I'm not talking about those of us who actually have teenagers. For teenagers, you've got to talk to them. That's just the only way you can get them closer to you. That's just the only way. But for those of us who actually have children, research actually has it that between the ages of 0 to 11, if you do not build a bond with your child, you've lost that child. I'll come again. Between the ages of 0 to what? To 11. You've got to do whatever you've got to do to ensure there's actually a bond. Now, I was speaking at a conference like this, and a man came to meet me. At the end of the program, he said to me, sir, I feel very guilty. How I wish I've had this or I've listened to this some 7 years backward. It's too late. I can do nothing about my boys. You know why? Between the ages of 0 to 10, there was no investment. So you cannot actually reap or harvest from what you've actually not planted. And I also want to say this humorously. I said to I was speaking to some teachers and during one of our trainings, I said, whatever bond, whatever relationship you're not able to build between the ages of 0 to 10, it becomes very impossible for you to actually get that later in life. Case in point, I said to them, I love my parents. And I know all of us love our parents too. But naturally, if I see my mom coming to hug me, it's going to be mechanical. How many of us understand that? It's not going to happen. So it's difficult. Why? Do I love them? Yes. But the bond, it's not there. A cousin of mine said to me that the day he says to his father on phone, Daddy, I love you, the daddy will put up the phone and ask question, is my son okay? You know why? It was never there. So positive parenting actually begins with us. Lastly, if you actually want a positive child, I say to you, please be positive. You've got to be a role model. And now let me say this for those of us who actually have teenagers, who are unruly, who were actually having a hard time dealing with, I want to beg you, if you know you do not have the capacity to fix it, get or look for a role model they actually listen to. I repeat, if you know it's going beyond your ability, don't just leave that child alone to himself. Look for someone the child listens to as a mentor or as a leader, someone he follows, someone he respects, someone he listens to. This could actually save the situation. It could actually close the gap. It could make a whole lot of difference in the life of a child. Don't leave a child alone like that. Ensure that your child actually has a mentor. It could actually be in school. It could actually be a family member, but somebody you can actually trust that you know when your child sees, your child actually respects that person. I'll give you an example. I have a single parent, a parent in one of my schools that actually had a boy, a teenage boy, Umar. Umar was something else at home. But something always happens. Whenever it comes up with the tantrums at home, the saving grace for the mom is Mrs. Usaina. Mrs. Usaina actually happens to be his teacher in school. So, whenever the boy actually does something wrong, the mom says to him, I'm picking up my phone, a teenager, I am going to report to, and he starts begging, please, I am sorry, I won't do this again. He's now a graduate in the university. And I asked him, he's a graduate of Kaduna State University. I asked him one day, I said, despite all you did while you were in secondary school, what can you say about your life? He said, I will never forget Mrs. Usaina. You know why? She was the one that actually helped my life. The mom knew she lost it. There was no way she could actually get it back, but she had to look for someone the boy actually respects. So that could actually be a saving grace for us. The last, but not the least, as a roundup, next is parenting tips. How do I manage my child's behavior? Next, please. Please, parents, you've got to be proactive and not reactive. And actually, how do you do this? Next, please. The school is a saving grace. There must be a partnership between the home front and also the school. We must actually ensure that our children, whatever things we actually observe at home that are not right, it's not just enough for us to be reactive about it. I always say this, children are meant to react, but parents are actually meant to respond. If you react the way your child has reacted to you, you don't get a better situation, a better outcome at the end of the day. So what makes the difference is you've got to respond. And how do you respond? You actually have to come up with strategies on how you can actually deal with issues. It's not all time that you actually flare up. It's not all time that you actually go crazy. It's not all time you actually curse. It's not all time you actually demean the child. Please, in ensuring that we become proactive, you need to use a lot of positive reinforcement. What we say about our children has the capacity to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So in other words, you need to actually make use of what I call positive reinforcement. What beating, spanking, bashing will not do, positive reinforcement will make all of the difference. So we must begin to actually not go beyond labeling them, because some teenagers, do you know some teenagers just want to get into trouble? Why? Because you have said to them they are bad boys. And teachers who are ill-equipped, who lack the strategies or the skills on how to work with teenagers, also label them. And what actually happens at the end of the day, it becomes a part of them. I read a book, very funny book. Mrs. Phillips, you were wrong, I'm not an idiot. What actually happened? This young boy in his grade 5 dropped out of school. And why did he drop out of school? His teacher said to him, you're good for nothing. You can't amount to anything in life. You're always at the bottom of the class. He gets back home. The parents did not make the situation any better. Along the line, at the age of 16 or 17, he was into drugs. He was into all manner of things. Guess what? Somebody actually came his way. And the person said to him, you've got a lot of potential. You've got abilities in you. Why don't you actually turn a new way, a new leaf, and work with me and see what your life will actually become? To cut a long story short, that guy ended up becoming a billionaire, one of the biggest real estate owners in Australia. And he authored a book called Mrs. Philip, his class teacher, you were wrong, I am not stupid. So, what positive reinforcement would do, you can only imagine. And I want to say this to us. According to the Pygmalion effect, it's actually a terminology in psychology. It says, when somebody tells you you're an idiot or you are a failure, it takes 10 people to say, you're not an idiot, you're not an idiot, before they can override it. So we need to constantly do that because our kids live in a negative world. Next, please. I'll round up with this. Can we all read this together, parents, if you can? This is his parents. In order for us to raise positive children, we must actually ensure that we are positive. We've got to love them unconditionally. And how do I mean unconditionally? Please, do note this, parents. Because your child is not doing well in his academics, does not mean the child should not be loved. Our love for our children should be unconditional. Because the moment we actually love them for who they actually are, or what they actually become, or the number of prizes, if we love them for marks alone, psychologically we are creating an effect that you are only important or you are only special to me because of this. So our love to our children must be unconditional. And when we actually profess unconditional love to our children, we take the extra mile, we take the extra step in proving to them that, yes, indeed, they are loved in spite of whatever. And the last part of that is, you got to become excellent role models. I want to say thank you very much for this time, for the privilege. I hope you've actually had value for your time today. I also want to appreciate the management for this. Thank you very much. And I wish us all safe trip back home. Thank you very much, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Please, let's put our hands together for Mr. Popoola Paul. He's the team lead, HL Educational Consult Limited, and I believe he has done justice to our questions in our minds. Some of the things that seemed as though they were difficult, we're able to relate with a lot of things. And for a fact, some of us that are single, someone like me, I think I was able to pick a lot of points. So please, once again, let's put our hands together for Mr. Popoola Paul. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so, so very much. Now, at this point, I want to believe that we have questions. Now, it won't be right for us to come here, listen to all of this, and go back home without actually saying some things on our mind that we need clarification on. So please, we'll
be taking the microphone round. We need you to signify if you have questions. Mr. Popoola will be taking notes. Mr. Popoola will be taking notes. And while we are thinking of our question, I want to read out a short biography of Mr. Popoola Paul. Mr. Popoola Paul is a man of extreme wisdom and experience, having built his life and career from the ground up, and he has an amazing way of communicating principles through stories. The Power of One book. Now, I have this book here by Mr. Popoola Paul. It's titled The Power of One. The Power of One is one book that will leave you wanting more as you discover the power you have within you to change your life. I recommend we meet with Mr. Popoola Paul to discuss having a copy of this. So right now, okay, we have a question. And before we take that question, please permit me to quickly recognize some people that I skipped initially. We have in our midst the principal of the secondary section, Mr. Erda. If Mr. Erda is here, please signify so we can appreciate your presence. I think he stepped out. Please, let's put our hands together in absentia. And also we have one of our special guests as well, in person of Mr. Zuberu M. Borudo is also here. Please, let's put our hands together. I believe he also has a question for us this morning, for Mr. Popoola. You can go ahead, sir.
Yes. Once again, good afternoon. For me, my question is not a question, but a remarks and testimony of what we had as a presentation from the guest speaker. Obviously, he has really shared knowledge, and knowledge is power. And for all of us being good Christians and good Muslims, his quoting of what he said we should do as don't and wants, these are content in the holy books. So for those who have learned the religion very well, about leading by examples, about positive mindsets, all the sub-communication he shared with us are quoted in the holy hadith of Prophet ﷺ, in the holy Bibles. So I really want to appreciate you, sir. You don't come, you are not here to speak us, you do a presentations. You really remember what we have been taught as our religion, because the only way that you can connect and keep on promising what you have been doing is to ensure that you are doing something from the scriptures. So you could continue giving your best, continue doing what you have been doing, because you'll be rewarded. I want to quote a few hadith in the holy, in the Prophet ﷺ, by saying that for those who have been blessed with 3 girls, that they could love them, live with them, trust with them, manage them, be patient with them, they'll be rewarded with paradise for just doing that act. Okay, and then one of the companions asked the Prophet, what about those who have 2 children, female? He said yes. Why? Because he has questioned us about bringing back the boys, and the girls have been focused. So yes, agreed. The girls have to be really committed. The time has to be given to them. Why? Because they are the mothers of the tomorrow. They are going to keep on continuing to raise a family. We are out in the streets. You can see when a man moved to another country, he left the children. He moved from one country, he left the children. But the mothers are there. So attention has to be given to them the way it is. I feel it's important also to mention some books here that are important for those that may be interested. But because of time, we'll share with you the books officially so that you can be able to communicate it to the school, and the school can communicate it to the parents, than to start raising the numbers. Once again, thank you very much. We'll connect with you. And lastly, this is the first time I have seen a company would call Education Company Limited. So I want to associate with that company so that I can be able to make this happen. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bro. Let's put our hands together. Thank you so very much. Do we have questions in the house, okay? Please kindly say your name and then go ahead with your question. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Farida Munir. Okay. This is a very educative, very informative seminar, and I'm pretty sure that we'll all gain so much from it. However, there are 2 factors that I was hoping I would see more about, which is family dynamics and neurodivergency. I know that as schools and parents, we have that, we analyze family dynamics we find out is this child misbehaving because of, the family dynamics? Is it an alcoholic father? Is it absent parents? Do we have, a divorced family? We notice that. But something that I see that we don't notice is neurodivergency. When you're talking about this, it's for neurotypical children who are wired, like the stereotypical way. It's easy, but then you have children who have ADHD, who have ADD, attention deficit disorders, hyperactivity disorders. They have defiant behavior. A lot of this is because of the way their brain is wired. So I do not see a lot of seminars addressing this, because sometimes if a child behaves a certain way, it's not always 100% the family or the school. It's the way the brain is wired. It's what they understand. So I had that at the beginning of the presentation, but as we were going on, I noticed that responsibility would probably cover for this. Because as a parent, you need to be responsible enough to identify if your child has autism, and accept it too. Because sometimes teachers do notice it, or other family members. If you try to tell a parent, they like to deny it.
Yes.
They don't want to say there's something wrong with it. But it's not about being wrong. It's just children are wired differently. And maybe it's the diet. Maybe it's too many screens. Maybe we still don't know why. As a special needs teacher, I've worked with neurodivergent children, and I feel that they seep through the cracks. People don't really see and understand them. So like you said responsibility, and you have counselors. Well, usually when I notice this in students, I tell their parents, see a counselor. We have a few special needs counselors here. They will give you the tools. They will give you what you need to guide, because sometimes it's just the way that their brains are wired. They can't help it. And the same thing with addiction, being addicted to screens. We still don't know the correlation, but I think it pretty much covers it. But I would like a little bit more attention on how children are wired differently.
Thank you very much. I believe Mr. Popoola will attend to that.
I think this is actually a welcome development, and I believe that in subsequent workshops or conferences like this, we can actually begin to address some of these issues. Like, if you actually look at my presentations, I was trying to touch so many parts at the same time. So maybe the next conference we could actually narrow the focus to maybe peculiar issues, because these are issues that actually affect some kids. And that's why I said we actually need time, and part of time involves patience. If a child is actually acting in a particular way, like I always say to parents, the first thing is not for you to shout, to scream, to libel the child. Something must be responsible for that. So I think subsequent workshops, we could actually look at special needs, because particularly I actually have a soft spot for special needs children. I feel sorry for them. I actually pay. Why? The home front is not supporting them, and everybody just think they're actually dunce. I want to recommend like Stars on Earth. It's an Indian movie. Please, you will do well if you actually watch this movie. Then we'll be able to feel some of the pain some of these children actually go. But overall, just one session cannot actually identify or address all of these issues. But I think it's something that should be noted by the management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I believe I can relate well with that as well. Before we take the next question, please, we'd like to inform our parents. While we were coming in, we observed that we picked some number tallies at the entrance. Now, we will be having a session for raffle draw. So please keep your numbers. You might just be the lucky winner for today. Do we have another question in-house? Okay, we have someone over there. Kindly tell us your name and go ahead with your question.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Odafen Okay. As I listen to you, first I would like to thank you for all that you've said. True. It looked to me like a lot of us parents need parenting. There is something you said, I think it works, but also think it may not work. What if I have a teenager or a child who doesn't trust me, who doesn't want to talk to me, or I've done everything and the child is not listening to me? And I say, okay, is there somebody else you would like to talk to? Or I know who this person likes. What if it is not somebody who shares the same kind of value you want that child to have? The child's mentor is some weird person out there. I don't want to mention names of some of our celebrities. Aha. So what do you do when you have that kind of situation in your hand? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Popoola will handle that.
All right. I quite resonate with you've just like said now. When you actually have a case or a situation where you find it very hard to find somebody around who can actually mentor the child, I believe it's that you're a Muslim or you are a Christian. Now you can actually look within your faith, maybe a pastor or an imam who can actually counsel the child and become more like the father figure. Now, I've had situations where you have mothers who are single mothers who have actually asked me questions like, okay, what do? We don't have fathers. And you know what is actually happening now? Most ladies, so to say, independent. Fathers just get pregnant, you know, stuff like that. Once they get into the tough, it becomes difficult. And I say to them, if you find yourself in situations like that, get your pastor or get an imam, somebody the child actually reveres. I think this could actually make a whole lot of difference. And I believe so much also that if you look around and you're quite observant, there will be somebody around the child, maybe a family member, and the person might not necessarily be close. It could be on phone also, you know. And once the person calls, can always put the child in check. But I want to give you a task. If it's actually something very personal, I believe so much that trust can be built. We might not get this overnight, but over time, you can actually eat it. So it's something you actually build. You know, the problem with our teenagers, the reason why they withdraw, the reason why they tend not to trust us, conclusion easily. We don't rationalize. You know, we just reach a conclusion and say, okay, you're a bad child, and the child just withdraws. And guess what's actually happening? As they withdraw, they are busy looking for who they can express to. And that's why you see they belong to, they go to school, they start hanging out with bad boys. Now, these boys listen to them and say to them, you're a fool, you know, I don't take this with my parents and all of. So you can actually start building that bond even from now. I think that could actually make a difference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Popoola. We have someone behind.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Aladan. This conference is like a double blessing for me. As a parent of teenagers and also a teacher, I don't even know which parts will I absorb as the training. Is it as a parent or as a teacher? Because I get it a bit confused parenting my children. Sometimes I forget I'm a parent. I treat them like my students. So I have issues with that sometimes. As a teacher, you treat students in their individual levels. So when you are applying that to your children, you have issues with some of them. They feel you have special spots for someone there. So this is my issue, which if you will have time to help us out, how to balance it up. Lastly, I will say thank you very much. I really appreciate this. This is a lot to me as a teacher. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Sure, sir. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Fatima Sani. I'd like to shed light on my experience with parenting. So I have a 9-year-old. He's turning 10 in October, and we're torn between letting him start secondary school or continue in primary 6. And I have a 6-year-old. So when the 9-year-old was younger, we were not in Nigeria. So he grew up with this white people thing, like they sit with the child, they talk to him and all that. Back then, I had that time, so I was following the rhythm of the teachers and their psychology. Then we moved back to Nigeria and the psychology switched. So even when we moved there, he was 2, and we're having issues for him to balance, but he balanced really quickly because the teachers, they go to school for 7 years to study the psychology of kids, like nursing, that's what they do, and then they start teaching. So they really, really tendered him, and they told me so many things about his character and his behavior that I didn't know, that he's like an alpha, so he always has this strong mentality and he has to do things his way. So when we came back to Nigeria, we couldn't find schools that had that orientation before I met NTIC. We were in Kano, and they were in other schools that friends recommended, and the teacher, but why can't he write? And I'm like, they don't teach them how to write till they're 7. And they're wondering why my child doesn't know how to write. And they will hold his hand so strongly, and he will come home crying that he doesn't want to go to school. He doesn't want how he still doesn't know how to write well, right? Because of that trauma, she's his principal. So that affected him. And then we kept changing schools to find the school that fit. Instead, we went to another school that were bullying him, and they made him angry. And so, like, he would not put up his socks, and they would start beating him. And I found out because it was a family friend's school, but I found out late. And the reaction and everything. So we moved to NTIC, and he was being groomed and counseled. But he still has this shell he puts up with, you know. So I don't know if he's ready to start his life as a secondary school, or we still need to take time with him. And another thing I want to shed light with is, back then in Europe, I had time. In Nigeria, you have a shop, and the attendant will not do the slightest things of everything. You have to do it yourself. Everything, like even arranging the shelves and everything. So how can you have a life, a business, when you have to do everything and then come back home and pay? Even if she will never do anything right. You always have to talk. So we're stressed, we're overwhelmed. And how do we have time to sit down and talk to our kids and tender? You know, it's not easy. It really isn't. I experienced both worlds, and I understand in that world, parenting was easy. In this world, it's not. It really isn't. So it's a kudos to all the parents, because we are trying. We really are. So don't say that we don't have time for. When they take that phone and they leave me to be, I'm happy. But yes, I do monitor what they watch, but really it gives me relief. It gives me time to myself, because I sometimes do lose my mind. All right. Thank you.
That's beautiful. So I think, let me take our question so that I don't miss out on the first. Now, this is very sincere. So that, let me start with this. Cut the mic. All right. For us now, you might not have all of the time to actually maybe devote, but if you can apply the principle of quality versus quantity. Now, what does this mean? It's not in the quantity of time, but rather in the quality of time. Now, when it comes to my phone and I'm talking, there's a whole lot of case in point. How many of us feel very good? You're with somebody, you're discussing with a person, and you're talking to someone, and the person is actually pressing his phone. How do you feel? You feel terrible, you feel bad. So the same thing also works with our kids. They might not express this, something is being imputed into their mind. So you can maintain the principle of the day I want to be there, I am there. I give you that time, heart to heart. Now, another thing is, because we know we've got to go make ends meet, all of that. How we say this? We show time and priority to that which is most important to our life. And with us as parents, the most important in our lives is nothing but family. Because the day the job will be there. The person, the people you want to see are your loved ones. And guess what? Actually give the...
You can come up stage, please. So if we don't actually have the time for them now, then they're not going to give us. Now, you know, some parents are actually crying now, my child, or even some of us, we feel very bad for some parents whose kids are not taking care of them. They don't come, they send money. And you know, at that stage, it gets to a point, as a parent, it's not money you need. You want to see your children, you want to see your grandchildren. And in most cases, we're quick to judge. These children aren't taking care of their parents, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. But guess what? In the formative stage, at the second phase of their life, we're not there. Now, it's now our life, we want them to be there. So, whatever time you want to give to them, they will value it. They will talk to you. Now, for the child who is 9 or 10, now, you know, I believe so much that as parents, there's no point deceiving ourselves. It got to a point in time, my son was 10 years, quite bright, intelligent boy, and the school said he should go to GSS1, and I said no. Everybody said, but why do you want him to do 6? I said, why should you do 6? He's not cleaning he can't clean his room, he can't lay his bed. His room is still dirty. Why should he go to GSS1? I know the child acts. So if I actually walk by what every other person is saying around me, I'm going to be deceiving myself. We know fully well that some of these kids going to GSS1, emotionally, mentally, they are not developed. And this is one of the biggest problems we actually have in Nigeria. So, ma'am, my advice to you is... Somebody's clapping. Please clap if you want to clap. All right. Now, my advice is, please, now, work with his cognitive age. I don't know, it's only in this part of the world where you see all manner of mad rush. Where are we rushing to? The child will get it at the end of the day. There's no point skipping classes. Now, it's only in Nigeria you see a child who is 3 years, you're forcing the child to write. These are unethical practices. It's not done anywhere in the world. You actually have to, from 1 to 7, they are supposed to be scribbling, pencil grip, knowing how, not writing, not reading. No, it's not bad. It doesn't. So please, let the child still stay in primary and grow gradually. I hope I've answered the question, right? All right, ma, whatever you can do to ensure that you create that balance in your home amongst your kids, you've got to do it. Now, you must not show favoritism, although there is no way as parents we can actually do without every parent here as a favorite. True or false? You might not show it, but inside, you know. And if it's not well managed, your kids also know. Case in point. When your kids actually want something, who did they send to you? Why do they send him to you or her? That's mommy's or daddy's favorite. That's the only person. And in most cases, in the families, when you actually have boys, the boys will always send the what? The girl. Because they know the girl has the heart of what? Daddy. But chairman have actually said it that it's actually natural. But whatever we can do, we need to create a balance. Now, you must not actually give certain privileges to others at the expense of, no, it must be balanced. And once they actually know this, that mommy is balanced, and you got to keep on, you have to keep them guessing. For example, you grant the wish of A, for example, and you don't grant B. Another time, you deny A and grant B. So in their head, they are thinking, okay, they are rationalizing. And this is how we can actually go about it to actually create the balance. More questions?
I think we are taking only two more questions, please.
Okay. All right. My name is Abdraman. I really want to appreciate what you shared with us. First of all, I just want to share a few things that I heard from you that actually work. As a parent is the most effective thing in parenting, and also sharing family core values is very, very important. I remember when we were kids, our father used to say, look, we do not lack anything in life. We are not multi-billionaires, we are not the Dantatas, but we have a very good reputation, we are respected. We never take what is not ours. What is important is maintain the reputation the family built over years. So when I finished school, he asked me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. He said, okay, let me advise you. You see, the most important thing in business is working capital, but it's not money. The most important working capital in business is your reputation and the skill you learned in whatever you want to do in life. I actually did not forget that. I made sure that I tried to maintain a good reputation. And I worked for 17 and a half years for a company. I tried to learn as much as I could. Most of my friends were running very fast, going nowhere, in the sense that either in one way or the other, some of them were found wanting in one deal or the other and were sacked also. But I remember when I decided to set up my business, after 17 and a half years, I didn't have 50,000 naira of my own. So because my father told me that the most important working capital is the skill, knowledge, and the reputation you built. You know, said if you know yours, if you have a good skill and knowledge, but you are not honest, people will run away from you because they say they will know that yeah, you are a good businessman, but you are not honest. You may end up cheating them. Then, if you know your skill and you are good in doing what you are doing, but you are honest, even if you don't have money, people will be looking for you to do business. Because they know that you have the knowledge, you have the skill, and you are honest and transparent. So when I decided to do business, I didn't have 50,000 naira of my own. But after 17 and a half years, I decided not to go to my parents, even though they are well-to-do, but I look at my friends that can borrow me 2 million naira, which is the working capital I want to start my business. In 1 year, I was able to pay back the 2 million, and now, from being an employee, after 23 years today in business, and I'm an employer of 250 people, and the business is, well, I would say it's a multi-billion naira business, and out of the advice that I should be honest, I should not take what is not mine. I should also yes. So I think it is very important that we should pass that to our parents, I mean to our children. And today, 3 of my kids passed out from us. And the 4th one is now doing, she's in medicine department in 9. And I think 2 are in this school now. So we learn from our parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I think I need to meet with you at the end of this workshop. 250 staff. I love that. We're actually into, I'm marketing myself now, all right? We're into corporate trainings, we're into sales, staff motivation, employee productivity. So, sir, please, I want to have your details at the end of this conference. Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been very illuminating and very educating lecture we've had. I'll call it lecture. And I listened to you when you were talking about being dedicated and giving our children our time, particularly as regards to doing homework with them. And I have an issue with my kids that when I want to teach them, they will not listen. And I don't know how you can be teaching someone mathematics and the person is under the table. Or the person is doing some tumbling somewhere on the couch. Or when you want to teach French and the person is jumping or skipping somewhere and they're saying, come on. I say, oh, mommy, I'm listening, just keep talking, I'm listening. And I'm like, you cannot listen to mathematics, you must see where the figure is being placed, or you must see the French word to see that it's not spelled how it's spelled or written. You have to come, so when you talk about being part of, parenting and teaching them, being part of their homework, I'm at a loss how to really go. I think after trying so much and I'm failing, I got a lesson teacher.
Absolutely. It's part of, it's also part of being
I got a lesson teacher. Because sometimes we end up in tears, we end up beating because we are not listening.
True.
So I don't know how else to be part of that. I would love to be part of it because some of the things I know that I could have done, I could have, to teach them, but they just won't let me because they will not. And one of the things they do sometimes, they're like trying you to know at what point you get so angry.
Absolutely.
Enough to. You are talking and that one is just standing there not doing what you are telling the person to do. Go and have your bath. That one is there doing something else. And time is going, it's time to sleep, it's time to, and at the end of the day, I probably even smack them because they must have to do something. I must get them to move. Even to get to school, sometimes you keep talking and they're like testing you to see how annoyed you are getting, to see the points when you will get too angry to react. You talked about reaction. Yeah. I do react because I don't know how else to get them to move.
All right, I think that is actually a situation most parents have also found themselves in. But what I say to that is, I don't know the age group.
I'm 9 years old. Now she has turned 10.
Okay, 10.
She has turned 10.
Now, if it's in the area of the academics, what our advice is, ensure that you get a lesson teacher who can actually play that role of a mentor, who can actually ensure that the teacher sees to it that they do certain things in which they are supposed to do. However, one other thing that actually works, every child or children naturally will test. Now, they will always get away with some of these their tantrums in an area where there is no consistency. And that's why I always say, when it comes to discipline, there are different types of discipline. We have withholding punishment, we actually have rewarding, Now, you know what they love most. Now, I'm speaking from a personal angle. If my children actually want something, for example, I've actually developed a habit of them saving. They actually have a piggy bank. And I say to them, I'm not going to give you money. You've got to work for the money. And how? You've got to keep your rooms clean. You got to ensure that your shoes are well arranged. And once you do this, on Saturday, you get paid. The same thing goes for homework. Whatever I want to see, and that's something we must always also do. Whatever you want to see your children do, attach a reward to it. It could be actually a great motivation to them. For example, your screen time, the only time you're entitled to watch the TV or have my phone is when you complete your assignment or your homework. Now, they will test you, but your consistency will actually make the difference at the end of the day. So it works. Now, in the case of a lesson teacher, you can't do that. Get a lesson teacher, somebody you know they will respect. Somebody you know, the moment he comes to the house, they actually sit up. Familiarity with mommy and daddy could actually give rise to some of these actions. But when you get a neutral person that comes to the house, as a matter of fact, I have a son who is going to turn 4. Of course, a little child, come and do homework, is also running about. But I say, I'm going to call Mrs. Ivy now. Immediately, he adjusts himself. Why? Mrs. Ivy is a teacher in school. So you can also, and that's why there must be partnership between school and home. You must know who the teachers are in school. Who does he respect most? in school. So you can actually use this. Even at times, you can call the teachers in school, speak to him, and they actually help to put him in check. I hope I've actually answered. Thank you.
Please, let's all put our hands together for Mr. Popoola once more. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know we'd like to take lots of questions, but at this time, we're also mindful of time, and we want our parents to get back to their respective schedules for the day. Now, before we call the event to the final closure, we will take our raffle draw segment. Now, this is a little token from the management in saying thank you. Now, we can't give all of us physical gifts, but we've gotten cognitive gifts today. We've gotten social gifts, and we've gotten knowledge. We've gotten impact from our speaker. So at this moment, I'd like to invite one of our teachers. Permit me to invite Miss Jessica to please come on stage to assist with the raffle draw. Now, please, let's keep our numbers up. So when your number comes up, when you hear your number, you have to come forward and receive the little token that the school management has made for us this morning. Okay, so we're going to have a little shake, and then we'll pick a number.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, Ms. Timer said I shouldn't look at it, so I won't look at it.
Okay, what number do we have?
300. Number 300.
Anyone with the
Anyone?
number 300? No, let's pick another one.
Okay. Number 115.
115. Anyone with
115.
no one? Let's pick another one.
264.
264.
Wow. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Please come forward. We have 264. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Sorry? Oh, okay.
All right, you can come up stage.
Please come and choose whatever you want.
So this is our own buffet section. You serve yourself if you're called up stage. So please pick what your heart desires. Congratulations. You can stand over here with your gift so the media team can have a picture. Yeah. All right, let's have another draw.
249.
249. Ticket number 24901. Let's pick another.
$219.
219. Tag number 219. No one. We keep moving.
85.
85.
85.
I think that was close to somebody's number. Okay.
91.
91. Do we have 91? Do we have 91, ma? Okay, let's go ahead.
244.
244. Oh, we do have 244. You're welcome. Congratulations.
Sorry. 85.
Oh, we had 85. Yes, we did have 85. Wow, she is 85. You can also come up stage and go to our menu section where we have the buffet and you serve yourself. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay. Welcome. Is that one?
All right, please stand by for the
okay.
picture. You can face the camera, ma.
Yeah.
So, ma, you also go ahead.
Whatever you want.
You just might find a car key in your own box. You never can tell. Or you find lesson plans. Okay, let's go one more deep.
Number 18.
18. 18.
Okay.
Do we have anyone here?
17.
17. 17. The hearts are racing. Will I win the car prize?
178.
178. Do we have 178? 17. Beautiful. Congratulations. We have 17. It might be the key to a house in Maitama. You never know. You never can tell. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please stand for pictures.
Picture. One more. One last one.
Who will be the final winner today?
Number 40.
40. 40?
Yay! Congratulations.
All right,
on,
come up stage.
Yeah.
Mommy, you can come with him, please. Congratulations. Congratulations. Mommy came with her boys. All right, please stand for the picture. All right, while we round up the raffle draw, let's put our hands together once again for ourselves. To round up the events today, I want to sincerely appreciate us for our time, for coming out. So to round up the events, we will be having a word of appreciation on behalf of the parents, and there is a volunteer for that. We have amidst us, let's put our hands together as we welcome Ajia Mrs. Bello for the word of appreciation on behalf of parents. Please put your hands together for Ajia as she comes up stage.
Thank you. On behalf of the parents who are here gathered, we would like to appreciate the principal, management, and the teachers of NTIC for a wonderful program, Raising Children in the Digital Age. Like we all know, parenting is a God-given responsibility, and it can be challenging sometimes. But when we come together like this to share ideas, then we'll be updated, and then we'll know how to go about raising our children. Thank you to our guest speaker, Mr. Popoola, for a job well done. I believe we all enjoyed his presentation and have learned from him. Thank you, sir. Finally, thank you to all the parents who have taken their time out of a busy Saturday to come here because of our children. I pray that the Almighty bless our efforts, and I wish us all a safe trip back home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajia Mrs. Bello, for that word of appreciation on behalf of parents. And at this point, it is my pleasure to announce that we've come to the end of today's seminar. We appreciate your time, and once more we appreciate our guest speaker, Mr. Popoola Paul, the team lead for H and HL Educational Company Limited. Thank you very much for your time. We wish us a safe trip back home and an amazing weekend. My name remains Omotaya Razak. Have a lovely evening. Thank you very much.
Seems as if the world around you is becoming colder. It is the time to open your heart and share the warmth of love. The shortest distance between two people is a smile. and share the warmth of love. The shortest distance between two people is a smile.